I just thought I'd talk you through the starting of the water project that I've got going on. I've got quite a few pages now and I want to talk to you a bit about annotation. The GCSE specification says that annotation needs to be part of your work. It's really, really important, so much so that you will lose marks if you do not have relevant annotation. This doesn't need to be essays at all. Even something like this is relevant annotation. It has to kind of demonstrate what you're intending to do and why. That can be things as little as keywords. Now, as we go through the sketchbook, you'll notice different levels of annotation in my book. Okay, so something like this page really only has a little bit on the bottom, and it just really explains how I started the project. So I've put on this page, I've looked at reflections and refractions made by water in glass vessels. Really important, this little bit at the bottom, I'm interested in the shapes and the spaces light creates in water. That straight away demonstrates what I've understood from these images that I've done, what I've been looking at, and perhaps what I intend to look at later. You might also notice my title at the top, done in a slightly interesting way. On the next page here, just move that slightly. This is some of the images again I took. You might remember the video where I did this. I've since added this watercolour painting on, and then I've just explored what I've been doing. So I continue to look at the shapes created by light in different vessels. So explains my intention. I photograph different bottles straight away. It tells the person marking you that you've done it. They're not something you found off the internet. So it shows more intent. You've gone and found what you wanted to do. To recreate this, I've drawn on tinfoil with biro. Below I've used watercolour. Okay, so it's not huge amounts of writing on that page. I've then had a look at taps and I've dotted my sentences round. I could add in keywords. I might still do that. Again, title, explaining what I've been looking at. Just try to get in your keywords for visual elements. So you should know your visual elements as an artist. So we've got line, tone, colour, pattern, shape, texture, form. So on here, I've talked about exploring the colour of using watercolour. The brown paper that I've used here, bringing out the copper colour in the tap. I talked about here about reflection, how I did this and why, and then how I've used simplification there. And you can see there as well, within the same page, I've modified this image 3 times. So I'm exploring media all the time. That really helps get your marks. Same with this one. And it's purposeful. So I'm exploring colour. That is the point of it. I'm exploring the shapes and the reflections. That is the point of that. Everything has to have a point, and these annotations will help that. This is my next page, just where I've collected images. And what I've tried to do, obviously I've taken my own images. I've spoken about colour there, so I've linked it back to the other piece of work. And I've spoken about what I've done here and why. So I found the reflection interesting. So I used colour paper to create a different colour reflection. Really simple annotation, but it is suitable for what I want to do. And I've talked about different tap shapes as well. So again, that's something that comes from the other page. I could completely extend this. I could do another page where I took this sort of thing and maybe did some prints out of it. I could experiment with further colouring. There's loads of things you could do to extend that further as part of a fuller project. There's my artist research. If you watched the other video, you'll know that I've done research on David Hockney swimming pools, and I've experimented using different materials there, and I've spoken about how his work was created, what influenced him. And then you'll have also seen this in the other video as well. So here I've used different types of media to create those reflections. Really important, all the way through, you might notice that I've got a reflection and shape theme coming off what I've already looked at. So I'm trying to use that in my annotations all the time: reflection, shapes, space, light, those kind of wordings that link everything together in my annotation. And that's as far as I've got for now. My next intention would be to maybe explore a little bit more about reflections and think about how I can use those in my work. So good luck with your project. Hopefully this helps, and when I add more pages, I'll do another video.